Think about how quickly you can get something delivered these days. You order online, and bam,
Yeah.
Amazon or Walmart can often have it to your door within hours, sometimes the very same day.
It's pretty incredible, the convenience.
It is. But it makes you wonder, what about the smaller businesses out there trying to compete with that level of speed and service? It feels like they're at a real disadvantage.
Absolutely. I mean, the reality is the current delivery landscape is heavily tilted towards these massive players,
Yeah.
with their vast, sophisticated logistics operations.
Right.
For small and medium-sized enterprises, PMEs as we'll call them, this presents a significant hurdle, a really big one.
How so?
Well, they might not have the resources, the capital to build their own delivery network, right?
Right.
And the costs associated with using existing delivery apps, the Ubers of the world, they can really eat into their bottom line. Sometimes it's just not viable.
Okay, so this is exactly what we're diving into today. We've got some materials here on a company called bringfy, and their whole mission seems to be shaking up this dynamic. They're aiming to, well, democratize same-day and next-day delivery specifically for these PMEs.
Leveling the playing field, essentially.
Exactly. For businesses that can't afford their own delivery infrastructure or those really expensive app fees, we're looking at their pitch presentation today.
Okay.
Trying to understand how bringfy works, why it's getting traction with investors, and the strategic thinking behind launching in Canada, of all places.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice. This whole area is fascinating, really.
Isn't it?
Whether you're, say, a business owner looking for solutions, or maybe an investor seeking opportunities, or even if you're just curious about how technology is reshaping commerce.
Right.
This deep dive should offer some valuable insights. It's a company tackling a very real challenge for a lot of businesses.
Okay, let's get right into the heart of the problem then. Slide 5 of bringfy's presentation. It paints a pretty clear picture.
What's it showing?
It points out that some companies, well, they don't offer delivery at all. They simply can't manage it.
Just not an option for them.
Right. And many others lack the technological tools to even coordinate a delivery team effectively.
So even if they have people, managing them is tough.
Exactly. And maybe the biggest challenge is just the difficulty of delivering products quickly and cost-effectively enough to actually compete.
Compete with the big guys.
Yeah. They even have this visual, it's a hand holding a package, but there's a big red X symbol over it.
Yeah.
You kind of get that sense of frustration,
Yeah, that visual nails it. What really stands out there is how fundamental these delivery challenges are for the smaller players. Because, in today's market, rapid delivery isn't really a luxury anymore, is it? It's often an expectation.
Definitely.
So if a local business can't meet that expectation, customers might just, click over to a larger competitor who can.
Right. Vanishes.
And without the right tech to manage logistics efficiently, costs just go up, making it even harder to compete on speed and price. It's kind of a catch-22 situation.
It really is. Think about it. When you need something quickly, if one local shop offers same-day delivery through a simple process and another doesn't, or it's a huge hassle.
You'll go with the easy option every time.
Exactly. The easier, faster option wins. So, okay, how does bringfy propose to fix this? Slide 6 introduces their solution.
Okay, so bringfy's core idea is this digital platform. Think of it as a central hub. It connects businesses with drivers to handle all their logistics and delivery needs. But, crucially, it's more than just a directory or a listing service.
Okay.
The key aspect they emphasize is the optimization of the entire delivery process.
Optimization that sounds like the secret sauce. How are they actually making deliveries more efficient?
Well, they talk about smart fleet management, and this is where some interesting tech comes in. They're using mathematical analyses, basically, algorithms, right, that figure out the best ways to get from point A to point B, multiple points probably.
Routing logic.
Exactly. Plus geopositioning, so they know where everyone and everything is in real time. Vital. They also mention cubage, which think of it like Tetris for packages in the van. It's about efficiently packing delivery vehicles to maximize space, reduce the number of trips needed, saving time, saving fuel, saving resources.
Makes sense.
And then there's automation layered on top to just streamline the whole workflow. The goal is clear: boost both competitiveness and the productive capacity of their whole network.
And the visual here reflects that.
Yeah, it flips from that red X on the package to a nice green check mark. Problem solved, visually speaking.
Okay, got it. So on the business side, the clients, what's their experience like using this? Slide 8 shows us their client back office.
Right.
And it looks, well, it has a really familiar look to it, actually.
Yeah.
Almost like an e-commerce platform many businesses might already be using.
And that's likely intentional. That visual similarity maybe to something like an Amazon seller interface or Shopify.
Yeah, it feels like that.
It suggests they're focusing on making the platform intuitive. Easy to adopt for businesses already comfortable with e-commerce tools. No steep learning curve.
So what can they do in there?
Well, the key features seem to be around creating and managing delivery requests, obviously, tracking their status in real time, and probably getting insights into their delivery operations, costs, efficiency, that kind of data.
Super useful for a small business owner.
Absolutely, giving them control and visibility.
And then, flip side, you've got the drivers. Slide 9 gives us a peek at their driver app. It seems pretty standard, looks like interfaces we've seen for gig economy work.
Precisely. It looks clean. The image shows a driver accepting a delivery request, and you can see the associated payment amount displayed clearly. Was it 189 Canadian dollars in that example?
Yeah, something like that.
It really highlights that direct connection the platform creates between the need for delivery and the earning opportunity for the driver.
So the app probably has navigation.
Oh, for sure. Navigation tools, communication features maybe, ways for drivers to manage their availability, track earnings, see completed deliveries, all the usual stuff you'd expect.
Right. Now let's talk money. How does bringfy actually make money, and what makes their offering attractive, from a business perspective? Slide 14 gets into their business model.
Okay, yeah. So the core of their revenue strategy is SaaS, software as a service. But it operates on a pay-per-use basis. They take a percentage of each order value. The slide mentions a range, 80% down to 75% per order, going to the driver, implying bringfy takes the rest, 20-25%.
So they take a cut of each delivery.
Essentially, yes. They also mention the possibility of setup fees for new clients, which is pretty standard for SaaS sometimes.
Okay. And who are they targeting?
Their initial customer segments are clearly defined. Companies and e-commerce businesses within the Greater Toronto Area, the GTA.
Okay. Starting focused.
And on the supply side, it's professional, amateur, or even extra time drivers, also within the GTA, looking for flexible work.
That pay-per-use aspect, that seems really significant, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially for smaller businesses.
Oh, absolutely.
It lowers that huge initial investment hurdle we talked about earlier.
Exactly. They're not having to shell out a ton of money up front for software licenses or building infrastructure. They just pay as they use the service. Scale up, scale down.
Much more manageable.
Way more manageable compared to the, significant costs of establishing and running your own in-house delivery fleet, or even the potentially high per delivery charges you get from some of the established big apps.
Right.
bringfy's model just offers a more adaptable and scalable solution. It's particularly good for PMEs whose delivery volumes might fluctuate a lot, seasonally or day to day.
Makes total sense. Now, the big question, is there actually a real market opportunity here? Is it viable? Slide 1 of the presentation is pretty bold. It says, best opportunity to invest in a high-tech logistic company and a specialized team. Strong claim.
It is strong. But then slide 12 tries to back it up with some context around the financial viability. And the market numbers they present are, well, they're quite large.
Like how large?
Okay, so they estimate the market size in Canada for couriers and local delivery services alone is almost 20 billion Canadian dollars annually.
Wow. Okay.
19.9 billion to be precise. And then there's an additional 1.2 billion for moving service, which might be adjacent. They also give a broader number, saying the overall logistic market in Canada hit nearly 148 billion US dollars back in 2020. So it's a huge, very active sector.
And there's a graph too.
Yeah, there's an accompanying bar graph that visually reinforces the growth trend, specifically within that Canadian couriers and local delivery segment. It's heading upwards.
Okay, and what about bringfy's own potential slice of that pie? Slide 13 talks about their financial projection.
Right. They lay out a potential total revenue projection of just over 10 million Canadian dollars.
10 million CAD.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 10.09 million seems to be the calculated total from the categories shown. There's also a table breaking down potential freight revenue based on the number of vehicles they could potentially onboard into their system.
So these numbers, the huge market size plus their own projections, this is what gets investors interested, presumably.
Precisely. You put those figures together, the large growing market, and bringfy's projected revenue, and it definitely paints a picture of significant growth potential. The data basically indicates a strong, maybe even unmet demand within Canada for more efficient and accessible delivery solutions. And bringfy is positioning itself to capitalize directly on that demand.
It suggests there's a real appetite for a service that can bridge that gap for smaller businesses we keep talking about.
Exactly. That's the narrative.
Okay, that brings us to a really interesting strategic point.
Yeah.
Why Canada? Why launch there first? The information we have suggests this wasn't accidental, it was a deliberate choice.
Yes, and when you look at it, it makes a lot of strategic sense.
Yeah.
Think about Canada's unique characteristics. Well, first, its vast territorial size. That inherently creates significant logistical challenges, right? Getting things across long distances efficiently.
Sure it is, lots of space.
Which means there's a large potential customer base, both businesses and consumers, who could really benefit from more streamlined and efficient delivery services. There's an inherent need.
Okay, so the challenge is also the opportunity.
In a way, yes. Furthermore, Canada's geographic proximity and its strong economic ties to the United States. That provides a very clear and logical pathway for future expansion.
The U.S. market next door.
Exactly. Once they've established a strong foothold, proven the model works in Canada, the U.S. is the obvious next step, an even larger market. It's almost like tackling a complex market first.
Proving ground.
Yeah, a proving ground. If their solution succeeds in Canada with its inherent logistical complexities, it really demonstrates the robustness of their platform and approach. It's a smart play.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, just stepping back for a second, looking at the presentation materials overall, slides 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, the branding stuff. What's your general impression of how they're visually communicating their message?
You know, the overall visual style across the slides feels pretty modern and professional. From those high-tech looking graphics on the initial slides illustrating the logistics processes to the mock-ups of the user interfaces we talked about.
Yeah, back office in the app.
Right, and they've got consistent branding, the bringfy logo, the website address bringfy.ca popping up on several slides. It looks coherent.
Does it convey the right message?
I think so. The visuals, especially at the beginning, effectively convey that idea of technology-driven logistics, of innovation and efficiency. That likely resonates well with both potential clients who want a slick solution and investors who are looking for a tech play.
Okay, good stuff. So as we wrap up this deep dive on bringfy, what are the essential takeaways? What should we really keep in mind?
Well, I think the core, the absolute heart of bringfy's proposition is their aim to empower those small and medium-sized businesses, making same-day, next-day delivery accessible, not just something the giants can do.
Right, democratizing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're doing this through that digital platform connecting businesses with drivers, but crucially, using smart logistics and optimization tech to make it work efficiently.
And the business model.
That flexible pay-per-use model is key. It really lowers the barrier to entry compared to traditional delivery options or expensive apps. And they're targeting a substantial growing market right here in Canada.
Which also sets them up nicely.
Strategically positions them for that potential future expansion into the U.S. or elsewhere.
Okay, and just to circle back, why should this matter to you, the listener?
Well, lots of reasons, depending on who you are.
Yeah, if you're running a business, especially a smaller one, bringfy or something like it could be a real solution to a major logistical headache. It could let you compete more effectively in today's really fast-paced market.
Absolutely. If you're an investor, it definitely highlights a potentially high-growth area within this evolving logistics and e-commerce support sector.
Yeah.
Worth watching.
And even if you're just, curious about innovation.
Then it's a fascinating case study, a look at how technology is being applied to solve very real-world challenges and potentially reshape how businesses, especially smaller ones, operate and compete.
So maybe a final thought to leave people with.
Yeah, something to chew on. As this demand for faster and faster delivery just keeps increasing and consumer expectations keep rising, what other kinds of innovative solutions might we see emerge? How else will the movement of goods be transformed? And maybe more broadly, how will technology continue to play a role in hopefully creating a more level playing field for businesses of all sizes in what seems like an increasingly demanding economic landscape for everyone?
Lots to think about there. Really interesting space to watch.